This amazing little device holds 1,000 songs, and it goes right in my pocket.
There are 86,400 seconds in a day. Let's not waste another second. Welcome to the No Advice Needed podcast. I'm your host, John Joshua. 2 first names, no middle name. I rarely take the middle ground on anything. That's why I'm good at consulting. Achieve the right dream quicker and enjoy the victories of success. Eliminate the wrong dreams quicker and have peace of mind that you are no longer wasting time on a dead-end path. Confidently overcome anxiety so you can happily be present in the moment with your family and friends. On this episode, we will go over A, what is Z generation disease or Gen Z disease? B, what is the reaction and response of Gen Z disease? C, 3-step cure for Gen Z disease. D, what major dreams and life goals should you always choose first? E, why you can still choose the right dream right now. This podcast is brought to you by Try Consulting Solutions. We know, we get it, we respect it. When it comes to your life, there's no advice needed. But just in case, try consultingsolutions.com for more business and personal consulting. Book a session today. Here we are, still on the journey to fulfillment in all aspects of our lives. I'm here in California and you are all over the world. Welcome back. Were you able to guess from the Storytime segment which aspect of life we would talk about today? If you guessed the aspirational aspect of life, then you were right. That particular life lesson of pursuing a dream in order to find the defining moment showed me the importance of self-discovery. Episode 5, The Cure for Gen Z Disease. Gen Z disease is the disease of too many options. What happens when you're in a 5-on-1 fight? What happens when children receive too many instructions too fast? What happens when you're dating multiple people at the same time? What happens when you're driving a car, your left foot is on the brake, your right foot is pressing on the accelerator, you're talking on the phone, listening to music, and drinking alcohol? What happens when you open too many programs on your computer or too many apps on your phone? I'll tell you what happens. Well, when you're in a 5-on-1 fight, you have roughly 2 hands, 2 elbows, 2 arms. So 2 hands, 2 elbows, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, 2 knees, and a head. So you roughly have 15 striking points that you can utilize in a fight. Well, if you have 15, then that means the other 5 people, the other 5 individuals that are jumping you, they also have 15, which is a total of 75. Your 15 viable striking options with different parts of your body, and their 75 viable striking options with different parts of their body. That's a problem. What happens when you give too many instructions too quickly to a child? I'll tell you the same thing that happens when somebody's dating multiple people at the same time and they have to keep up the same stories for the same people, the same versions of the truth. And you have to remember all the things that you've learned about them. Could it potentially get confusing? Could somebody eventually get hurt? Most likely, yes. What happens when you're driving a car and your left foot is pressing on the brake and your right foot is pressing on the accelerator and you're talking on the phone and you're listening to music and you're drinking alcohol? Most likely something's going to happen. Maybe if you don't get injured, maybe somebody else will. The same thing happens when you open too many programs on your computer and too many apps on your phone. Processing, buffering, loading. Issues may arise. Gen Z disease is all Steve Jobs' fault. What did he think was going to happen when he put 1,000 songs in our pockets? I know that Gen Z disease is not real. It's a phrase I came up with to help you all, the 20-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 60-year-olds, everybody, understand the times that we live in now. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, like, share, comment. According to a CNN article from their website, in 2022, on average, people make 35,000 decisions a day. I say again, people on average make 35,000 decisions a day, and that's just for themselves. What if they're married? That means they have to make more decisions. What if they have kids? That means they have to make more decisions. What if they have pets? That means they have to make more decisions. The CNN article also reported that people are experiencing decision fatigue. Processing, buffering, loading issues may arise. According to psychiatrist.com, 42% of Gen Z has received a mental health diagnosis. Here are the top 4 mental health diagnoses for Generation Z: anxiety, depression, ADHD, PTSD. Oh, they're just soft and spoiled and weak and fragile and nothing like how I was. That sounds like words from my uncle, Uncle Frank. He was a Vietnam veteran. His father was in the military during World War II and the Korean War. My uncle and my other uncle, my Uncle Frank and my other uncle, Uncle Butch, they both were in the Vietnam War. Uncle Frank, he was shot in the calf, and he received a Purple Heart. Uncle Butch, he was shot in the shoulder, and he received a Purple Heart. My Uncle Frank, he came to live with us in California, and in his head, because he was a black Republican cowboy wannabe kind of thing, and an artist, and he's been retired since he was 40 years old, he, in his mind, thought that every generation after him was just weak and soft. Because of Uncle Frank, I learned the critics of Generation Z are the children of the Generation X, and the critics of the millennial generation are the children of the baby boomer generation. And the critics of Generation X are the children of the silent generation. And the critics of the baby boomer generation are the children of the greatest generation. All of that is really confusing. And all of that is to say, grandparents and parents sometimes just don't understand. Why don't they understand? For them, decision fatigue was lower, options were fewer, and mental health therapy was taboo. My Uncle Frank didn't have to worry about gangs and gun violence in his teenage years. He enlisted in the military at 14 years old. He retired when he was 40, and he's still alive at 83 years old. There's a story regarding Uncle Frank. He had to be like, I want to say he was about 56. No, he was 60. He was 60 years old. He was living in Oakland. He was taking care of Grandpa Bill. And one night in Oakland, and it was over by, I want to say, Seminary and 75th, somewhere over there. So one day, Uncle Frank is just walking around at night. Typically, he would just smoke cigarettes, just doing a walk by his house. A person ran up on him. He had a gun. Person said, "Hey, give me your money, old man." And Uncle Frank said, "No, I'm not giving you my money." And he said, you better give me your money or I'm gonna shoot you." Uncle Frank said, "No, I'm not giving you my money." So the guy tried to reach to grab Uncle Frank's, to pocket check him, to grab his wallet. Uncle Frank slapped his hand away. He said, "Ah!" The guy tried to do it again. Uncle Frank, slapped his hand away. That's what he would do. Get away from me. The guy looked at him and then walked away. Uncle Frank didn't get robbed. I don't know if he didn't understand what was going on. He was still healthy. He still had his mental health. He was actually still caring for my grandpa, but he just refused to give in. And he put the robber at a disadvantage because was the robber willing to shoot and kill him? He didn't even want to harm him. That's the mindset of my uncle at that time frame. Just because I wouldn't do something like that when I'm in my 60s, does that mean I'm too soft? No. Probably means maybe I'm a little smarter. I don't know. Or maybe Uncle Frank was just a little more protected. Older critics always question if the modern day young adults are faking their anxiety or faking their problems. Okay, Let's just look at the last 20 years. Y2K scare. Many people bought water and supplies during that period, thinking that the world was going to end. 9/11 happened, and fear of terrorist attacks has forever changed our airport security. .com bubble crash, 3 wars, housing bubble crash, just a bubble crash sandwich right there. .com bubble crash, 3 wars, housing bubble crash, George Floyd, law enforcement versus Antifa, BLM, protests, riots. That occurred. Do you think that was scary during that particular time frame? We're still feeling remnants of that now. Even with me being a police officer, I come in contact with people of all different types of races, but specifically those that are BIPOC, people of color. There's a certain type of fear that I can sense when I interact with them in doing a traffic stop. There's a certain type of fear that different people have against the police. COVID-19 scare, pandemic scare, quarantine scare. It's scary that I'm saying scare a lot. Bitcoin crash, massive layoffs currently, and now the unknown future of AI. Processing, loading, buffering issues may arise. Was there really anything to be anxious about in the last 20 years? Yeah, I think so. Maybe the older generations should apologize to Gen Z. So, if nowadays decision fatigue is higher, then so is indecision. Indecision is a survival response. The 3 survival responses are fight, flight, or freeze. Indecision is a form of freezing. When somebody shuts down, they're freezing. They're no longer able to continue that conversation. They're shutting down. When somebody is disassociating, they're freezing. They're thinking of something else. They're finding a happy place, or they're just discontinuing the conversation or the action. They're shutting down as well. Animals execute the freeze response when presented with danger. They will run, hide, and freeze. In the animal world, if you freeze in a camouflage or concealed position, the threat may just leave. Humans often freeze and respond in similar fashion when faced with back-to-back traumatic situations. The freezing response is the least effective. For humans, when they freeze, the threat is less likely to leave. In fact, it's more likely to stay there. Debt, toxic friends, toxic relationships, work drama, family drama, parenting, co-parenting, health struggles, car trouble, homelessness, various abuse traumas, crime, hate, unforgiveness, evil people, etc., etc. Indecision also can create regret. Freezing and indecision can leave you paralyzed in past, present, and future regret. Processing, buffering, loading issues may arise. Just like a computer program or a cell phone app, maybe you're in need of a reset, a restart, a reboot. Now that we know what Gen Z disease is and how critics respond to it, how do we fix it? What's the cure? This is a podcast all about how. Fear not, here's the good news. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notification, like, share, comment. The cure for Gen Z disease is to make timely decisions. Time can be your advantage, or wasted time can be your enemy. While you are undecided, you are not deciding, and thus you are wasting time. Here are 3 steps to curing Gen Z disease. 1, decide to flight. Run, separate, get distance. Run to a solution-based safe haven. Run to a safe place that has answers. Run, just get away. There's nothing cowardly about protecting yourself. You need to separate. You need to distance before you turn a situation of struggle and concern, something you're worried about, before you turn it into something that turns into a crisis or a panic. Decide to flight. Decide to get therapy, solution-based therapy, solution-based consulting, solution-based mentorship. Therapy is more common practice than ever before. There is less ridicule regarding therapy. How do I know? Because in movies and TV shows, they're talking more and more about therapy in a way that is beneficial towards people, expressing all the benefits of therapy. So that is why it is no longer taboo. Number 3, decide to fight. Come up with another scheme or a game plan with the goal of chasing your dreams to the point of reaching a defining moment. Where have we heard that before? A defining moment. A defining moment that allows you to capture your dream or bring closure to your dream. That's what the defining moment is. But you need to decide to fight. Fight not only for your life, but fight for the impact that your life can have on other people in this world. Decide to fight. Overcoming the disease of too many options allows you to pursue the right dream. It allows you to target the right dream. What dream do you go after first? What if you have multiple dreams? What would your dream be? True love, college, high-paying job, family, doctor, lawyer, rapper, musician, content creator, author, engineer, cop, firefighter, pilot, military, veterinarian. You go after whichever dream that will give you the defining moment the soonest. I'll say it again. You go after whichever dream that will give you the defining moment the soonest. I could have waited to marry my wife. I could have waited until we both graduated college, but I might have lost my wife. I could have waited to marry my wife. I could have waited until after I succeeded in the music industry, but that wasn't going to happen because I don't even like entertaining people, as I learned. I would have lost my wife. I could have waited for the perfect time to commit to or to acquire or to obtain my dream, but there is no perfect time. You go after it when it's there in that moment, and you figure it out. You figure out what the defining moment is. Either you go after it and you're going to lose and fail, but you have closure to that particular dream, and then you can move on to other dreams, or you don't go after it and you have regret and you have indecision and you have decision fatigue and you have anxiety and you have depression and PTSD and ADHD, all because you didn't decide on what you wanted. You didn't go after what you wanted. Gen Z disease. I know it's not a real thing. I know it's not a part of the CDC. I know it's not a part of the DSM. I understand that. But there is, whatever you want to call it, there is a problem when you have too many options. That's what everybody struggles with during this day and age. The final segment of this podcast is called Wrong Again. This is where I air out my grievances and disagreements with popular, redundant, useless rhetoric that hinder people from achieving fulfillment in various aspects of their lives. Long live.
Long live, 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 as long as the beat lives, as long as the streets live, as long as the longevity is.
Long live the right answer, and may you pass it on to your kids so it lives even longer. Everything happens for a reason. Oh, it does? A person gets sexually abused. Everything happens for a reason? Cancer patient casualties, everything happens for a reason. Drunk driver casualties, everything happens for a reason. High sexual body count, everything happens for a reason. Drug abuse, everything happens for a reason. Hate crimes, infidelity. When I cheated on you, I realized how much I really love you. Everything happens for a reason. Criminal gets his 35th misdemeanor. Everything happens for a reason. And the list goes on and on. The phrase, everything happens for a reason, is fruit from the poisonous mindset tree. Everything doesn't happen for a reason. Your the reason. And I know why people are saying that in the component of providence or destiny or your faith or your religion, that everything happens for a reason, and your faith, your creator, your God is in control over all that, except for free will. Because you have free will, everything does happen for some sort of reason. Everything mostly happens for a certain reason, and it's mostly because of decisions that you have made. Now, there are all types of exceptions when it comes to different people that have become victims of other people's decisions. I get that. But everything happens for a reason, as an excuse for you to do something wrong, or for you to have toxic behavior, or for you to use it as an excuse for all your failures. Everything happens for a reason. No, that's just your pride talking. Maybe if you change that mind frame, if you change that way of thinking, then you'll own up to the particular things that occurred, and you'll actually have some form of self-analysis. You'll have some form of self-discovery. You'll do a self-assessment and figure out how you could have been better. Figure out how to change your ways, because that's the only way you're going to be able to choose the right dream right now. It's just my 2 cents, but it could be worth a humble billion. The next No Advice Needed episode will be released on May 30th.